You're recording. Welcome to the blockchain art.
Okay, you guys want to see I got my index cards printed for my show. Here, check this out. It's my
Oh, wow.
it's an exit strategy.
Yeah, tell us something about that. I was wondering about that. Huh?
You were wondering? Yeah, so the show is called Exit Strategy, which is a piece. This graphic is a laser that gets projected on the ceiling. So then what I did was I created these flow charts about the lean startup methodology that are 7 feet tall. So basically you have these like sort of these processes, right, that are like sort of you go through, right? There's right now the basic like sort of lean startup as a whole. I'm going to do one for build, measure, learn, and the minimum viable product, and then there'll be another for exit strategy, and then like the final thing is like the laser, which is shooting up at the screen. And so this is the Dungeon Master performance, is the academic speed metal PowerPoint performance called Fear and Trembling on the Blockchain. It's where I embody this character from the Dark Enlightenment that's really into crypto, who's in a metal band, and basically we give this like lecture about the blockchain while we play speed metal, and there's this like really psychotic power. I showed it to you already.
Yeah. This is amazing. Yeah.
I showed you guys, but so then now what we're doing is I'm situating here. Let me show you this. The diagrams are going in like 20 of these frames. So It's going to be this size, and then this is the neoliberal infinity bong. We're installing a screen below it, so basically it's going to make really loud bong noises while like neoliberal kind of ideology floats around in the bong chamber. Then you can like look through it to see the truth, the cold, dark truth. So the thing that I've been kind of thinking about is I haven't designed the part for what we're doing right now, which is in a way kind of the most important part. It's like the artist rights and transfer sale agreement. I'm trying to figure out a way of representing that idea of that we're automating this contract, right? So people can use it as an open source utility for editioning their work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I'm gonna wind up like drawing like more omnigraphal charts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm wondering is like if we do actually get this thing off, like if we actually do this, does it make sense to actually edition the process itself as a fine art object?
Yeah.
So,
mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm spending a lot of time outlining what the distributed art object framework is. So there's going to be like, maybe like 12 to 15 diagrams in those frames. And then I'm taking the essay that I wrote earlier last summer and I'm breaking it apart to create like a text that goes with each diagram.
Mm-hmm.
But then the whole point though is to show what's possible with programmable property, right? So I'm showing two things. I'm showing this in some capacity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm showing Norm Corp, which I don't know if I ever told you guys about Norm Corp. Did I ever tell you about that?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
It's my conceptual art startup.
Okay.
So it's basically a blockchain art startup that is in and of itself an art object.
Okay.
So it doesn't, but it's a monochrome. So it doesn't produce anything except the conditions of its own existence. It just performatively performs its own value.
Interesting.
In the same way that like companies go through these sort of lean startup methodologies to demonstrate they have traction, which allows you to sell the business itself as an object. I'm basically saying, well, let's skip all of that and just call the business an art object, and then we'll demonstrate its value through this mixture of art and business kind of methodologies.
Okay.
And then we sell the whole thing as part of an exit strategy, right? But Norm Corp, all it does, it doesn't sell a product. Like it in and of itself is a product as a type of like decentralized, autonomous organization.
Right.
So it embodies pure value.
Yeah. So its existence is its purpose and its value, and by existing, it's part of, by its existence of what it is. It's as an art object. It demonstrates this process that we're doing.
So like, so I'm going to be showing those two things as kind of like the preliminary steps towards what I consider to be an actually decentralized art.
Okay, and that was Norm. What was that?
Norm Corp.
Norm Corp. Okay.
So it's a play on Normcore, which is like that style, NORMCORE. It's like it was kind of like a play on like a style thing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's like being really normal is like a style, you know?
Yeah, and you know that's almost kind of like the most simplest use case, the most elementary existence of what it is we're trying to do.
It's like well, I don't know if it's the most simple. It's a step. It's a couple of steps ahead. Right?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, because it's a company organization. Yeah.
It's a DAO, and it sort of involves thinking through a lot of these things. But another way is we just show the DID file.
Okay, so getting back to your original question, which was whether to showcase this process, was that the original question?
Yeah, I was thinking about like how we could do that, or whether or not this process needs to be completed in order to be able to talk about it, you know? Is there been any movement with the ERC 1155?
Raphael with Dappy.tech, he did kind of put together some thoughts and beginnings of the ERC 1155. Let me see what it was that he created. Bear with me here.
We don't have to really worry about that until we have all the functionality done.
Yeah.
That's a standard interface.
I'm looking at this DID though, and so I mean, in a way, like the DID is it's a way of standardizing the certificate of authenticity, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a way of giving an object a name.
Which it's like when God gave something a name, it brings it into its existence.
Yeah.
You name all these animals, we give breath to life. Well, no, because it's in a way, I think I'm realizing as I look at this right now, we're actually confusing two different things, right? Jim is saying the DID is the thing that names the object, which therefore creates its objectness, right? And then we're filling in the information about the object, the descriptors, which is basically the certificate of authenticity. And that's separate. That's separate than the smart contract, which is actually what the artist rights and transfer sale agreement accomplishes. Right. So in a way, these are actually two separate things.
The DID is a way of discovering the services of the object.
Yeah, I mean, like, so basically, I mean, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, okay, we have the basic parameters here. Like, I don't know, it's not that like we need more than this. It's just some of these parameters are going to have more information depending on the nature of the piece. Yeah. Like we can put in specific prompts, like what is it? How big is it? What materials? Is it screen based? How many screens, you know? But that's just basically something that has to go in to the description. And that's where you have people that are educated in archival media that can actually standardize a way of writing about a work so it can be recreated, right? Because we're not just talking about the piece, we're talking about its ability to be recreated at a later date with newer technology.
Yeah, well, you know, it's okay, we're building a structure here, and you know, it looks like we're throwing everything into the transfer agreement here, which probably doesn't belong in the transfer agreement.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. For now, we can keep these things in the same document. I'm just gonna like push this down a little bit.
Yeah, the I suppose we could put it all in the transfer agreement, but these have meaning outside the transfer agreement also, which is why I'm thinking that maybe transfer agreement should be at the same level as these other things.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, if we look at the diagram, it's like. Yeah, let me screen share for a second. So basically what I'm putting DID here, right? As a separate thing from the certificate of authenticity, because my understanding is like a certificate of authenticity needs to be formatted a specific way that makes it valid in the American legal system, right? So it's literally a certificate. Whereas that information may be replicated and formatted differently in DID. I actually looking at this and realizing these are not the same thing because right. I don't know that DID will stand up in a court of law.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I think the DID is where we collect that information and then format it in an actual contract using fields.
Now, the DID is not supposed to really have any information in it. It's supposed to tell you where to get the information. Where is the certificate of authenticity? Where are the physical characteristics of the device? Whatever.
So you're saying we're not storing information in DID? I thought it's a JSON file DID is a format. It's a way of formatting information so it's in a JSON file, no?
We have a JSON file, okay, in the art object. Okay, the art object is not Yeah, I can see what we were doing here. We were putting the object in the DID, and that I think that was a mistake. In other words,
Yeah.
it's physically separate. It's not really part of the DID. We'd have the URI of where the information was. You wouldn't have the actual information.
Oh, so you're saying the information gets stored in the blockchain and then the DID pulls it?
Right. The DID document gives you pointers to the services that the object provides. So the information about it would be in the art object, not in the DID directory. So I guess we were putting it all into one thing just to make it easy for us to deal with it.
Yeah, but I think, okay, I understand that. I guess what I'm confused is then where is the object? I thought it's like there is no object. The object is the aggregation of all of these things, no?
Bless you.
Oh,
Yeah, well, we have a decentralized directory, which points to a DID document, which points to the object, which points to the object services. I mean, what makes it an object is that it has services. And
wait, can you define object? I think I know what you mean, but can you just define that?
I'm not sure how to best do it. I mean, from the object model, it's the language of the object. What does the object respond to? And
So in other words, are you saying the way the smart contract is structured?
How does the object work? If we send this message to the object, what does it do?
But that's all being managed over here at the smart contract level. None of that is going to be included in these areas. This is just defining what the artwork is. Then we're going to be storing, right? Hashing and storing. This individuates the file, right? DID is at the intersection of those two things, both containing the hash file, the file hash, the location hash, and the certificate of authenticity hash, right? The DID is how we format the information, and that information is stored in a token. But like the smart contract is how we're interfacing with that, unless I'm wrong.
Well, the thing is that all of these things, every art object could have all of these things implemented differently. And that's why, they're all, things on both sides are behaviors of the object. The artwork definition, you're saying, can be independent of the behaviors.
Yeah, the art object can be independent of the behaviors. The behaviors are in the smart contract here, which we're attaching to this stuff, but they're two separate things.
Well, let's suppose that your art object supports an operation. Give me the name and address of the author. Okay, so of the creator. So you would have to execute a contract that would access the information about the art object and give the user the name and address of the creator of the piece. So
yeah, that's stored in the certificate of authenticity.
It's the contract that provides access to the information.
Maybe, but the certificate of authenticity, if it's a separate document, is basically searchable by anyone. Like that is public
That's
information.
the public information.
That's why we're separating these things out. It's not that the contract gives you access to that information. The contract is really mediating who gets access to the file and how mediates transference of ownership, right? So here in the defining the
Okay, so, you know, I mean, what we have here is we have the certificate of authenticity as one field and the information about the artwork. Right. That's one of the pieces of information that's kept about the transfer agreement we have here. I don't know. I think we need to I think we need to fix this somehow. I mean, what do we have? We have the DID points to the DID document. Points to the.
I think like the idea of the DID is that it makes it searchable in between blockchains, right?
Right.
Like even if the information is stored on the blockchain and the DID is referencing that location, it's still, we want the DID as a separate thing in case the information moves onto a different chain, right?
Yeah.
Is that the point, or is there a different way? Am I misunderstanding something?
Yeah, you know, I think that's right. It just makes it back end independent, so to speak.
I mean, yeah. Like so, basically, here's my perspective on this. What DID does is it creates a standard formatting so nobody can own provenance, right? Because right now there's companies that deal just with creating provenance. But if we use DID for the formatting of that provenance, then it creates basically standardizes how that information is uploaded. No?
I follow you. Yeah.
So I don't know if you look at.
Want to take off my screen?
I guess you know I'm trying to reformat this. I mean, the idea of putting it all in. Whoops.
Eric, can you share that graphic in the Colab Discord channel?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay.
I updated it. Yeah, I mean, I've updated it a little bit since, but the first draft I uploaded, it's just, if you scroll up just like a couple of posts, it's the DAOF_2.pdf. Yeah, Gary, what do you think? You want to weigh in on this a little?
Oh, I didn't think I was going to get anything out of this talk, but listening to you and Jim hash this thing out has given me a lot of ideas. But I don't know that I want to share them because it involves category theory and
Oh,
Yeah, that's a different rabbit hole, Gary. You know, it's a different wormhole.
Yeah.
it is a rabbit hole. But I think it's a benevolent rabbit hole. I don't know if that's a
Oh, I didn't say it was a bad rabbit hole. I mean, rabbit holes are good. I like rabbits. I like holes. Um,
So I don't know what standards there are for this type of thing in the DID at all.
well, there
But
isn't.
basically what
We're
I'm saying
inventing
is
it.
that the DID points to a DID doc, which points to services. And one service is getting information about provenance. Okay, another thing is a transfer agreement.
I'm just like Googling certificate of authenticity example.
And what's, what is it? I mean, for the provenance, I put a list. I put an empty list because when you might, it might have created might have a tuple.
Here, I'm just going to post something just as an example. I don't know if this is, we want to find a better example than this, but just check this out. This is an example of a certificate of authenticity.
Where did you put that?
In the Zoom chat. I'll put it in Discord too.
Okay, that's a good start. So we have
This is like a, an example of like a website that's trying to get you to pay them to generate them. So they got a QR code and they got all this stuff. But you see,
well, we can do that.
yeah, I'm saying we can do this. I want to find a format, but it definitely has to be a discrete document like this.
So let me ask this question. So this is a PDF file. Could the certificate of authenticity be a PDF file in our world? Just like this, that's, the text is searchable?
Well, so the way, it's not about it being a PDF file per se, it's that all those data is stored on a blockchain and then recombined in fields to take on this template.
Do we know what these numbers are?
I think that's just like your latitude.
So let me repeat what I heard. So with our certificate of authenticity, we're creating a template, and the information for the various art pieces of art objects that are out there are going to, whether they're stored, perhaps say they're stored decentralized. If someone wants to view the certificate of authenticity, the template will come up, and then the information will be pulled from the various sources to populate the certificate of authenticity for that specific object.
Like it gets displayed that way. It's stored on a blockchain, but yeah, it gets pulled.
I mean, we wouldn't have to put it like this. It could say certified as original work by, and it would have a name. On such and such a date. I guess we could add some to it, but the main thing is that the certificate needs to be signed by an identity. So you have to have before you can have the art object, you have to have a Sophie Smith.
Well, yeah, but I think we can just have that for right now be a crypto wallet.
Yeah, right, and it would be a cryptographic signature. that would be added to this. Now, the question is, who else signs this?
The gallerist, maybe a lawyer, maybe the auction
So
house.
So we just have a set of fields, who certifies it to be original work, when, what date and time, and what's the identity of the information. Okay, and it should have the transfer agreement. No, certificate of authenticity doesn't need a transfer agreement. That's separate.
Yeah.
No, but what it does is it points to it.
Points
Right.
to it. Okay.
So basically,
Where does it point to it?
I don't know. I don't really know, but at some place we define the work, this work of art, which is this is like where the work is being defined, right, as something that was generated by Eric Barry Drazen, sold to Jim Whitescarver, right, on such and such a date. But the definition of the artwork is attached to the smart contract that mediates the sale. So even though they're separate documents, that what that means is that if you try going around smart contract, that nullifies the work of art.
Okay, so we're going to have the certificate of whatever. Okay, well, I put link here. Okay, it doesn't have to be link here. We can put the actual fields, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The thing is that it doesn't go in the DID document. The certificate of the link to it should have a link in the DID document as opposed to the actual information.
Okay, all right. So then why were we doing it like this before?
I don't know. We were trying to specify it all in one document rather than try to have links. But I think we should just separate out. Forget about the DID for now. Okay, we were keeping it because we wanted to look something up.
Well, all right. I'm hearing this, but I still see value in creating a standardized formatting for this information, right?
Right. But each one is separate, right? The certificate of authenticity, the provenance, and the transfer agreement.
Yeah.
The provenance is just going to be a list of all the actions taken with this object. So, we can recreate its history.
Okay.
Yeah.
The transfer agreement. Okay, so we probably need to have a owner. Okay, because it's like, well, we're not defining here. I mean, there's really a question of, or there's a trade-off here. We make it very flexible, and we make we give permissions to the owner and the creator to modify or to make changes. Maybe not.
Well, yeah, I think so. All right. So, all right. I can. The artist, as the originator, is the only one that has the rights to change the terms of the agreement. So even though
Does he have that right?
yes,
Okay, the question is, if he already sold it, he can't change the agreement that he had when he sold it.
Yes,
He could just modify future contracts.
Well, no, but here you guys are forgetting. An artist uniquely has the right to nullify an artwork after it's been created and sold. This is something
So that means that we have to somehow tie this thing to a fusible connection.
What's a fusible connection?
One that the artist owns the right to disconnect.
Yes.
Jim, do you agree with that?
Yeah,
not-
yes. I mean, it's, in smart contract language, it's called the controller. And, the issue is, what do they control? And that is going to be determined by the contracts associated with the object. I mean, really everything is controlled by the contracts.
Yes. So the controller of the contract, okay, fine, all right, if you want to use that language. But so basically, because the other thing is the artist can revoke the artwork, right? The artist the artist can also re-edition the artwork. So here's case in point. Let's say I create a video, it's 2 minutes long, 2-minute video artwork. I sell it to Jim. Let's say that video file for some reason gets corrupted at a later date. Now I still have the Adobe Premiere file on my computer. So all I have to do is render out another copy of the video to replace the old one, right? What happens? Well, Jim owns the actual video file that we're saying is the art object, but it doesn't work anymore. So the file that I have on my computer isn't the art object anymore unless we have some type of subroutine to nullify the previous certificate of authenticity and smart contract and reinstantiate a new one. Does that make sense? The artist is the only person that can actually do this because they are the originator of the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit scary, I must say.
Yes, this brings up some interesting problems.
Well, I mean, for other types of property, this won't work, right? Like, this is unique to art. This is why art is an interesting area to be in, because it doesn't abide always by the same rules that other forms of property abide by. I understand why you guys would find that a little scary, but I think it's quite interesting.
Well, Jim, aren't these are just requirements and parameters that get coded into the smart contract?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing with the controller contract. Okay, we have a set of permissions that we're granting here, or capabilities. We have admin capabilities for creating. We have public capabilities we're creating, and we have what do we have? That's all we have for now. Yes, we have an owner capability. No.
Oh, you're looking. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at your screen. I'm looking at my screen.
Okay, so to make these flexible, then we can create a list or a tuple of these capabilities and associate them with the artist, and have the artist be able to change them, to replace them with a different contract, a different
Well, it's not so much replace, it's additive, right? It's basically saying the new contract points at the old one, says, okay, that was version 1. Now we're version 2. So now I assume the identity of the actual art object.
right. But if somebody has the capability, if someone has an art object capability directly,
Well, they can't do it by themselves. So the artist can do it, right? But they need also the permission of the owner, of the gallerist.
we
Like-
basically need one level of indirection. Because this will always work this way. If we want to change it, we have to go to somebody and say, give me the current value of the art object. And then get the data. Okay, but initially, we may be doing this, but we won't always be doing that necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a separate process, no?
No, it's just it's a revocable, changeable or controlled method. All the methods are controlled, which means that they can change.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I thought it can't change though. Like that's the whole point of the blockchain is it's additive. It can't change once it's been.
right. So, we have to, in essence, have a pointer to where the current one is. Okay.
Which is DID.
Right. And that's why the DID shouldn't have any actual data in it. It should have
Links. Where does the DID get
Pointers,
stored
and-
though?
no,
Where does
the value of the DID can change. I mean, what's in the DID can change. I mean, we can't change the fact that we set it to something at some time, but it'll have the current value, whatever that is.
But where is it stored?
Stored on the blockchain. All the copies of it are stored on the blockchain, but
The DID is stored in the blockchain.
yeah,
And then, so then if we update the contracts, then we have to create a new DID, or is the DID somehow changeable?
it's somehow changeable. Okay, and that's, once again, that's because, it's like, okay, let's suppose I put up child porn on the net. That is there forever. You can't change that. But if I have an index to pictures, I can put that on the index or not. If it's not on any index, I'm not going to find it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here, the DID directory is an index. And it can have a pointer to a DID, which points to the old DID, okay? Which could point to the old DID. But the old DID could have no pointers to it. So unless you look at the block on the blockchain that has that in there, nobody's going to ever find it. unless you put a pointer to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, they can find it by looking through every block and figuring out, oh, this is a picture, and they can put it on an index somewhere. But
Okay, so basically DID makes the blockchain searchable by an index, as
by an
opposed.
index that you can that can be that
Is
you.
there nothing that does
The
that?
whole point of a DID document is it's self-sovereign. You can make it anything you want.
Is there anything currently like that, like for searching Ethereum?
Yeah, Ethereum has maps. I mean, everybody has a different ether balance, for example. Okay, so the ether balance changes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a mapping from accounts to balances, whatever, or mapping. Depending on your applications, maps are one of the things that you have, and they're changeable, and you have other data types that all your data types can change, or potentially can change your data associated with your contract.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. I need to think about this some more. So it's 2 o'clock.
The thing is, the history is always there.
Right.
Yeah, the history is always there.
Okay, it's a little bit different on the file system, the
IPFS?
IPFS. Yeah, you change one byte, it's a different object, has a different address.
That's what I thought.
Right. So, but if you have a DID entry, it'll point to the address of the current thing. Right.
Yeah. But our chain doesn't work that way, the same way as IPFS with that.
No.
All right. I still don't completely understand it then. You don't have to explain it to me right now. It's okay. But I may touch base with you later this week because I'm gonna really think about this, and I want to understand what this actual model is. Then, if it's not, if it isn't indelible,
Yeah. I think I was thinking that what we could do is set up a hyper flexible art object, just the bragging rights of saying we put one on our chain.
Interesting.
A really dumb art object that we can add behavior to later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want the behavior. We don't need behavior immediately. We just need an object. So we need to determine what the object actually is first before we can attach the behavior to it. But it's like we're having this kind of chicken and the egg thing,
Right.
which is interesting. But I think eventually we'll just get frustrated and make a decision. however rash.
We get down into the weeds right away rather than postpone the weeds until later.
Yeah. Postpone the weeds till later. Yeah. Shoot first, ask questions later. My usual style. All right. I need to think about this. The next 2 weeks, I'm a crazy person. My show goes up March 7th or March 6th. So basically starting this Friday, I'm in installation mode. I may not be at next week's meeting, but then after that, things are going to be back to normal for me. I'll just be more a normal person. And I'm going to shift into writing mode. So I'll be a bit more focused.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta go though. I'll talk to you guys. If not next, I'll talk to you guys on Discord. But I probably will not be at next week's meeting.
Okay.
Just because I'll be installing. Whatever.
Gotcha.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Cool.
See you later.